Hi guys, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, Crafting Up a Storm. Today I've got 4 fall DIY projects for you. This video is part of a collaboration and I will get into that later in my video and tell you all about the hosts and co-hosts. But for now, let's get crafting. For this project, I started with one of the house shadow boxes from Dollar Tree. And I just wanted to cover up the paper on the back side. And I started to paint it with my yellow chalk paint. I believe the color is maize. And of course it was not mixed up at first. So it wasn't doing much of a job covering it up. So I shook it up and tried again. I didn't want to worry about it being completely covered. I'm gonna put some pencils over the top of it. But I just didn't want any of that pattern to show through just in case in the corners. So I covered it up with a couple coats of yellow, of the maize colored chalk paint. Now I'm going in and just cutting these pencils. I got a box in the school supply section at Walmart for, I think it was like 94 cents. And I used pretty much the entire box. But I just kind of cut down. I wanted the erasers mainly, and I wanted it to kind of have a shiplap look. So I have a template. I started with the piece I wanted that had the eraser, and then I made another piece to match the size that needed to go across, if that makes sense. So that the cuts in the pencil varied and the eraser, where the eraser fell, kind of varied. And I just made cuts all over the place. It'll kind of make sense once you see the whole thing finished. I just glued them to the back, and technically the back didn't really need to be painted. It was covered up. In the very top, you'll see I did have to make a few diagonal cuts on some of the pencils to create that peak. Now I just want to darken it a little bit. I'm using some antiquing wax and I'm covering it up. The pencils have a coating on them that does not take the wax well, which is fine. I want to get in the cracks and on the erasers and just darken it a little bit. So I filled it all in with antiquing wax and now I'm wiping most of it away. Just to give it a little darkness in those crevices and accentuate the lines. The next piece is this thankful wood carving. I believe I got it at Dollar Tree, and I believe there were 3 in the pack. Grateful, thankful, blessed. There might have been 6 in the pack, 2 of each. I can't remember, but I'm just covering it with the same antiquing wax to stain it. I'll brush it on and then I'll rub it in with a towel and kind of wipe the excess away. And I just continue to do that till I get the color I'm looking for. Because when I put the thankful over the pencils, it kind of blended in, I'm going to add this pumpkin ornament that I just painted orange for the background. I popped a little raffia bow on the top of the pumpkin. And now the thankful will pop out in front of those pencils and you can see it easier. Let me know what you guys think of this one. This video is part of a Fall DIYs collaboration brought to you by Shantell at Crafty Hints, Brenda at Rustic and Lace DIY, and Amanda at 6 Kids and a Glue Gun. I'll have the links to these talented ladies' channels in my description. And please click on the playlist and you will get tons of wonderful fall DIY inspiration. For for this next project, it's one of my favorites and probably the easiest. I picked up this little sign from the new Birch and Vine section at Dollar Tree, and I just kind of covered over the middle with some white chalk paint. And I have one of these leaf ornaments that I picked up. I think it was in my stash from last year. And the wood grain rub-on transfer. I'm just going to cover that leaf with this wood grain. And I kind of just pull the excess away, and then whatever's left, I use my sanding block to just clean up the edges of it. I do get into some of the really small spaces with a file. Probably even an emery board would work just as well. I'm going to put my leaf on the top. I made a double bow twine, a double loop twine bow. And now I'm just trying different buttons, fall colored buttons that I want to use to pop in the middle of my bow. I had all sorts of browns and yellows and oranges. And I think even a green. I'll be honest, a lot of them I liked, but I think I went with kind of a burnt orange, shiny color. You let me know what color you guys prefer. I wanted just a little pop of autumn color on this, but I didn't want it to be too bright. Let me know what your favorite fall colors are. And let me know what you guys think of this one. For this project, I had one of the wood birdhouse from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use the furniture scratch markers. I started with the lightest color, and that's what's the main part of my birdhouse is going to be. I kind of just fill it in. I don't mind the lines. I'm going to make it kind of look a bit stained and kind of blend some of those lines in, so I'm not too worried about it. I do, however, color in so much, and I've had these pens for a little while, that my pen started to give out, so I did have to let it rest. Now I'm going to do the roof of my birdhouse. I started with the middle color, and it just blended too much into that same color, so I went to the dark color on top. And that's what I use for my roof. I went back and finished the rest of the birdhouse with the lightest color. And now I'm just spraying some very strong alcohol over the top. I use it just for crafting, and it's like 99%. It's going to blend that and allow it to bleed that alcohol in it. Like with alcohol markers, you can get it to kind of bleed a little bit and blend, but it's also going to distress it a bit and pull some of that color back out. Now I'm going to go over the top of it after it's good and dry. I'm going to go over the top of it with a sanding block, and that will kind of smooth a lot of that out. I'm going to take that dark color and really accentuate the ring in the middle. And I kind of just want it to bleed and look old and rustic. So I just sprayed a little alcohol on the top of that. Now I had this Hello Autumn I had painted for another project and didn't end up using it. I just watered down some orange chalk paint and used it kind of as a stain as well. I put some blocks on the back of it to pop it up. So I'm going to use that same piece on the birdhouse and just put a little glue on the back of those blocks. They're just pieces of tumbling tower blocks that I cut. And I'm just going to glue that to the front of the birdhouse. I did pick up this, like a faux feather and grass pick from Dollar Tree. And the feathers are actually like material, and they were pretty wrinkled. So I did straighten that out and press that out with my heat press. And just to be careful not to melt the plastic on that. But I just straightened it out a bit, and I glued that to the birdhouse along with a little bit of that grass. And now I want to fill the gap in between my Hello Autumn and the birdhouse with some moss. And I went ahead and used a more green moss. And normally with fall projects, I would use like the more dry Spanish moss. But because the grass was still so green for this project, I wanted to kind of match that with the moss. So I just put it in between the birdhouse and the saying, and I just laid a line of hot glue and then pushed the moss in and held it down with a little, I think it was a leftover floral piece of wire. I added in a few little floral small flowers that I had in my stash just to add a little pop of color to it. And that was my birdhouse. Let me know what you guys think of this one. This next one, I had picked up this home sign from that same birch and vine section at Dollar Tree. And I liked it. It's black and white and reversed home on each side. But I decided that it would be perfect to put the word fall. So I covered the blocks on one side up with some cork from, just that adhesive cork from Dollar Tree. And I painted stained the wood beads a little bit darker in the middle with some antiquing wax. And now I'm going to use some of the gold rub-on transfers that I really don't like working with, but actually on this cork, it was pretty easy. I rubbed on just some different leaf patterns just to add a little touch on the back of the cork. And you cannot see it in the light. It's better in this particular shot. You can see how all that gold came off on that cork. I could not find my wood letters to save my life, so I used this Welcome Fall wood cutout, and I kind of cut the word fall apart to use on my blocks. So I decided to color it in with a gold metallic marker from Crafter Square. And then around the edge, when it's laser cut, it's got that darker outline around the edge. But because I cut a lot of it away, I didn't have that outline anymore. So I did outline it with a dark furniture marker, just to give that outline back in some of the places. I popped the letters down onto my blocks. And then I decided to add a little bit of fall floral to it. I cut away the flowers and some of the leaves, and I just used them around my letters. And this kind of hid the pieces of the letters that you could tell were kind of cut away. I don't know that I would have added this floral had I just had regular wood letters or even the little metal letters or not, but I decided it kind of hid that cut area on my fall letters. Let me know what you guys think of this one. If you enjoyed these projects, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I have several more fall collaborations coming up, and I'd love for you to be part of my crafty family. Have a great day.